Hello, friends, and welcome to another WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado on this Friday afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Fridays are always a nice day. Everybody's looking forward to the long weekend, that long week that starts on Monday, and then when you get to Wednesday, it's kind of like you're at the top of the slope, and then you get to Thursday, and you're now on the downslope on your way in to the weekend. It's a good time to spend time with family, relax, have some cocktails, and reflect on some of the bullshit you had to deal with throughout the week, which is what I'm about to talk about. So, how do you cut through the WSIB's line of bullshit? This is a question that I get asked often, and in many different formats, some of which I can't repeat here. I do occasionally throw out the F-bomb, but some people get really pissed at what happens to them and what the WSIB does, and the fact that they feel powerless in dealing with these people. And of course, they have some pretty good terms to define that, which I agree with in most cases. So it's been about 8 months since I started this channel, and about a little over 2.5 years since I started WSIB Settlements. Before that, most of you who know me, I had a paralegal firm for about 30 years. I dealt with the WSIB exclusively in the Workplace Safety and Insurance Appeals Tribunal, and the most hated man as far as WSIB is concerned. And I always used to keep my finger on the pulse. And what I mean by that is I needed to know what was going on within the WSIB so that I could stay ahead of the game with my business and could advise my paralegals and other staff on any adjustments that we needed to make to our process to make sure that we could continuously cut through that line of bullshit that is brought up by the WSIB, this big wall that they put up. And so I had my finger on the pulse because I was dealing with these people on a daily basis, whether it was case managers or directors or VPs or payment managers. It didn't matter. I was dealing with them all the time. And I knew how they operated, and they knew that I knew how they operated. And they were afraid that I knew more than they knew how they operated. And I'll explain that to you. WSIB has various offices throughout the province. And my company dealt with all of them. They've closed some of them, but we had clients all over the province. So inevitably, we dealt with every office. And they like to think at head office that everybody kind of, worked within this sort of format. And they had meetings and meetings and meetings and all kinds of shit strategies to try and get everybody on the same page. But, human nature, people like to have power. And when you're a director in an office, for example, and you have a particular way of doing things, and you want to sort of ingrain that within your staff, it may not necessarily align itself with head office. And I had a lot of discussions with directors and VPs about this kind of nonsense. And I would say, well, if the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, that's your fucking problem. Deal with it. It's not my problem. But I know how you guys deal with it. And I'm okay. I know exactly how John does shit in Sudbury, or Bill does crap in London. I'll throw a lady's name in there. Samantha in Windsor. It's human nature. That's what they like to do. And so it filters itself through the whole organization. So it goes down to managers and case managers, and then everybody thinks that they're in control of their own little world, but they're not. They're only in control if nobody disrupts that nice, harmonious system they have working within themselves. And of course, the reason why they hated me is because I was the ultimate disruptor. I disrupted their fucking harmony on a weekly basis. And they hated that. They absolutely hated it. And I loved it. Why? Because it got results. If I have a client where payments are supposed to be released and the client is in Thunder Bay and they need that money today, it's Friday, so they can pay the arrears on their mortgage so they don't lose their house. And the Treasury Department is supposed to pull the check to have somebody pick it up and for my office and deliver it to Thunder Bay. And we always had all of that coordinated, whether we had to fly in or drive or whatever, or deposit into the client's account. We had all sorts of different ways to do it to make sure the client got the money fast. But sometimes there'd be a hiccup because some schmuck in Toronto would go, well, that's Thunder Bay, I can get to this on Friday. Well, I was very zealous about this kind of stuff. So I'd get on the phone on Thursday so that I didn't have anybody giving me an excuse that Treasury couldn't issue a check to get it to the client on Friday. So on Thursday, I'm on the phone. And there's countless times where we had the manager in Treasury issue a check, authorize the check, and have a VP sign off on the check, and have them deliver the check to the third floor to either myself or one of my staff picking up the check. And they did that. They did that kind of a dance. So, yeah, they're nervous. They are nervous that I'm back because in the last 8 months, they've been able to see through my videos, and then members of WSIB Settlements who use the tools that I've developed, they know where all of it is coming from. And they're getting nervous. And they should be. I don't have the finger on the pulse in the sense that I'm talking to them on a daily basis because I don't want to fucking talk to these people. They make me sick. But my members give me the feedback that I need to make sure that they are supported, that they have the tools to do what I would do when I was dealing with these people. And it works. These tools works, but you have to use them. So here are some of my observations over the past 8 months. This is all based on feedback. They have this authoritarian attitude. They always have this sort of arrogance, but it seems to be worse. It seems to be kind of like, whatever. If I don't get to it now, who cares? I don't really give a shit. And that's because everybody has decided to play nice. All these paralegals and lawyers, they got to play nice with them. They got to be very, very nice with these people. And that's why the Law Society didn't like me either. And I finally told them to take their fucking license and shove it. Because I'm there to fight for my client, not to play nice with these people. If you're trying to screw me, I'm not going to play nice with you. And when they try to screw a client of mine, it was the same thing as trying to screw me. I don't play nice when that happens. You're going to see the worst of me come out. I'm the nicest guy there is. Never look for any issues. But if you try to screw with me or one of my clients, I'm going to come at you with everything I have. And we're not playing nice. That's why they call it, bully and arrogant and, whatever. Good. Because you understand. They understood how I function. And that's why I was able to get over $300 million in settlements for clients. A lot of them without having to go to appeals. Yes, they hated me at all levels of the operations. But you know what? I couldn't care less because the more they hated me, the more I knew I was pushing the right buttons. You know what they do now? When it comes to these 72-month lock-in reviews, you're plugging away. You got your LOE coming in and you don't expect that to be disrupted. And the law states that on the 67th month, they're supposed to start the inquiries and begin the process so that on the 72nd month, they can make that review and there isn't any downtime for the client. What I mean by downtime is where the person has to pay their fucking mortgage and they don't have money to do that. Because some schmuck who didn't care decided, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start the 72nd month review on the 72nd month. And I'm not going to tell the client. I'm not going to tell the worker. They're going to figure it out when they don't have a check. They're pulling this kind of shit. And you watching me, you probably know that. That shouldn't be happening. And if my paralegal firm was handling your case, we would have made sure that on the 67th month, where the law states that you got to initiate the review process, we would have been on the phone dealing with these people and saying, Come on, let's get it on here. We're on the timetable. But this kind of shit is happening, and people are being left stranded. And they're afraid to rock the boat because they think if I rock the boat, if I push them, I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to cut me off or never reinstate my pay or reduce it? Of course, they have good reason to feel all of these things because they're dealing with an organization who doesn't give a fuck about them. Because you don't do that to people. You don't just stop their benefits and not give them a warning. But this is what's happening. So if your 72nd month review is coming up, and the 72nd month is review after your injury, 72 months after your injury. In the 67th month, if you're receiving LOE benefits, they're supposed to begin inquiries to do that review. They look for information from Revenue Canada as far as what your earnings are concerned, where you're receiving your income, things of that nature, so that they can proceed to make that review. If they haven't done that, it's time for them to start. Because they will leave you stranded. Believe me, they're doing this kind of shit in this day and age. This is David Marshall's plan. Yeah, that guy who came in, targeted me, and decided to screw everybody over to pay off that unfunded liability, put a bunch of coin in his pocket, and give employers rebates and screw the worker. Yeah, that guy, that's the one. I'm going to put his picture up here just so that you know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the remnants from that guy. I don't know who's in charge of the chicken coop down there these days, but I'll tell you right now, they need some fucking roosters in there. Tough ones. Stopping payments without notification. Case managers' refusal to comply with the request for reconsideration under Section 121 of the Act. Anybody who's been at the WSIB for any length of time knows that under the law, Section 121 of the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act authorizes them to perform a reconsideration. No manager or case manager or director has the right to refuse it. The law doesn't give them that right. They have to do the reconsideration. And whether they tell you what you want to hear or not, they still have to do that. But we have case managers saying to the members saying, well, you know, I have to determine whether or not I'm going to do a reconsideration. No, you don't. This is above your pay grade. Just do the reconsideration. And if I don't like it, I'm going to do the level 2, which is to your manager. And I'll go up the ladder as well. Because somebody with some brains between this part here of your head, they're going to have a look at it. If not for self-preservation, so they don't look like complete idiots. When the tribunal has to look at it and sit it back and say, these people, they shouldn't be there. Now, they don't say that in that kind of direct way, like I do, but they do say it in between the lines. Some people are just taking up space. Refusal to communicate with you in writing. I always told my clients, and I tell our members, do not communicate with these people by telephone because they lie. And they will make you look like a liar. But they can't change what's on paper. Demand that it's done on paper. In writing. Not over the telephone. Don't trust them. I'm telling you this based on my experience. Thousands of clients. My experience. Don't trust any of them under any circumstances. Because they will screw you. At the first opportunity, they will screw you. You can tell I'm pretty hot under the collar, of course, because I don't like people getting screwed. I don't like to see my members getting screwed by these people. Force them to communicate in writing. The law doesn't demand, there's nothing in the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act that demands of you or compels you to communicate with them on the phone. They don't want to talk to these people on the phone. Unless you have a third party on the line and you let them know that you have a third party on the line who's going to be taking notes. And you'll see how quickly they'll back up. Another thing is they refuse to state all of the details that were used in the determination or making a decision. They all need a crash course on what's required in a decision letter, all of the different factors that must be contained in the decision letter. Case managers, they knew that they need a crash course on that. And so do managers and directors, because I've seen letters lately from directors and managers, and I'm going, you're just taking up space. You're not going to be there very long, because you will lose this battle. Because there's going to be enough people with my shit that are going to come to you, and you're going to have to, at one point, you're going to go, maybe I should start providing that information because the law requires that I do. And if I don't, I'm just going to get more and more and more requests. But they have to provide the details, all of the details. How are you expected to know how to go about an appeal if you don't know all of the details that were used in a decision, so that you can look at those details and determine whether or not you can overcome those issues, whether you require more medical, or you require a medical expert opinion, or some kind of a test, or you require a witness that witnessed the accident, whatever the case is. They have a responsibility to provide that. So you don't have to go into a hearing with blinders on. That's why the law states that. That's why the courts have what they call statements of fact, because everything has to be described and explained, and any factual evidence has to be noted as statements of fact. But with these people, they think they're just writing a letter to their grandma, who they haven't seen in 10 years and probably hate her too. I don't know. And then the last one is the lack of response from the appeals division. You know what I feel about the WSIB's appeals services division, whatever they call themselves these days. I think they're useless. I think they're like a hard callus on your toe or your heel that all it does is causes you pain. You need to get rid of it. It's the only way to fix it. Because they always come up with these new ways and restructuring strategies to make things go a little bit more fluid, a little bit more consistent. But when they're not getting in touch with you or moving ahead with an appeal, once they receive an intent to appeal form, are they doing what they're supposed to do in their 90 days that they now claim that should be done? No, man. Fuck no, they're not doing it. They're just as bad now as they've ever been. But you know what they're doing? And I think it's by design. They're just delaying the process. And maybe you'll give up. Because at one point, many, many years ago, I thought maybe that's just a far out thinking of the way you think, Joe. Maybe it's just far out there, right? But it's not. I've seen it, and I continue to see it. You got to push through that bullshit, that line of bullshit. I'm going to show you how to do that. So there's a reason why they hate me, and they're going to hate me a lot more, because I know they watch my videos and I get to see behind the scenes, and of course, I do have friends there. They don't think that I do, but I do. People are afraid to take on these. They think that they look at the WSIB as this sort of abstract thing that's there. It's not a human. It's not somebody you can, and they don't really know, how do I deal with these things? And of course, all of the processes they have in place, including the Fair Practices Commission, it's whatever. You can't see, touch, or feel that, but the people that work within that system, you can. Those are the ones I dealt with all the time. Those are the ones that called me bully. But they probably still have the battle scars, because whenever they went to battle with me, they inevitably lost. Very rare. And when I was wrong, I was always man enough to apologize. Say, okay, I got it wrong this time. I apologize for it, sincerely. But that didn't happen very often. I didn't give a shit who had to get the job done. If I needed a check signed to be released this afternoon, that check was going to be signed and released. And that money was going to be in the client's account by the end of the day. countless times that I did this. My company did this. These people don't have the same sense of urgency that you do. They all earn in the high 5-figure and some 6-figure income. On a Friday afternoon, they were already thinking about the weekend when at the end of the office at 9 o'clock. Not about you and the shit they needed to get done to make some people feel better. Not go through another miserable, long weekend, stressed out, not knowing how they're going to pay their bills. They don't give a shit. They don't have this sense of urgency like you do. But everything I did, everything I created for WSIBsettlements.com, and everything I talk about on this channel is to give you power. And all you got to do is just follow my lead. Use my tools. Use them. Because they work. And these are tools that were crafted based on results. And you don't have to be tough yourself. You let my tools demonstrate that A, you know the law, you know your rights, and B, you know who you need to go to if the person you're trying to reach is stonewalling you or hiding behind that bullshit wall. They may think that they work in this nice, beautiful office and they're untouchable, but they are. They're very much touchable. So use my tools. That's the only thing I can tell you to do, to cut through the bullshit. We have tools to their follow-up letters. There's 3 different ones, properly worded with the proper sections of the law in there, addressed to the right person. It takes you less than 60 seconds to fill in your name, your claim number, and submit, and click submit. You have the letter. You upload it directly to the WSIB. Let them deal with it. You don't get a response, you do the second level one, which is also on our app. You don't get a response to that, you do the third one. And believe me, there's a fourth one. It's not on the app, but it's used occasionally when the member is getting stonewalled by all 3 levels. But they work. They get results. Why? Because there's only so much time that a director is going to go to a manager and go, what the hell's going on? How come I'm getting all of this stuff and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? Eventually, somebody's going to get tired of that. And all you're doing is you're defending your rights and you're pursuing what you're rightly entitled to until they give you a reason in writing as to why you're not, and they act on a timely basis, so then you can move on and move through appeals. But the big takeaway from all of this is, and there's other tools, but you have to be persistent. We have 8 new letters that are available on our app on one click. Everything to do with any medical related decision that they make. One click, well, I'm denying this treatment. Okay, fine. One click, treatment denial letter, and that letter goes off, and it demands the details. Who reviewed this? What is their expertise? Who pays their salary? Do they work for you? There's like 7 or 8 questions. They have to provide that information. So if you use these tools, you're going to force them to respond. And if they do a lousy job, and you've used all of the tools, and you get up to the Workplace Safety and Insurance Appeals Tribunal, and you're at a hearing, and the tribunal looks through the whole history, who do you think they're going to lean towards? Not the WSIB, who's been stonewalling every step of the way. So everything we do is always with the intent of ensuring that we are properly positioned for the next step, that we properly position you for that next step. But if you use the system, I promise you, it will work for you, because you're going to inundate them with paperwork and they're going to have to act. Believe me, they will. All right, friends. So this is it for this Friday afternoon. And know that if you're a member of WSIBsettlements.com and and you're getting stonewalled somewhere along the process and you're using the system, somebody's going to be there to make sure that you have the proper direction to know exactly what you need to do to get things moving. Because their biggest fear is that, okay, that guy, that Machado guy, holy fuck, he's back. And he's all over the place. Every office. He's got people dealing with every office. They know that. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I do. If you're new to the channel, I apologize for some of the F-bombs, but sometimes there's nothing that really demonstrates a disdain for a situation like that. There isn't a different word. And there's a lot of that goes on in this channel. So if you have, what do they call them? Sensitive ears, then you're probably at the wrong place. But WSIBsettlements.com and all of our information and everything we have there, believe me, there's no F-bombs there. But I hope you stick around and that you become a subscriber. It's free. All of the information I provide on this channel doesn't cost you anything. And I hope that you share my videos with others, because I know there's thousands and thousands of injured workers all over this province who need help right now. And we're here to help. WSIBsettlements.com, right here. Check us out. We just introduced the case audit that we do. It's not a file review where you're looking for one particular issue and you can do that in, 20, 30 minutes if you know what you're looking for. No, it's a much more in-depth case audit. It looks at every single aspect of your case. There's a report, there's an action plan provided and recommendations. And if we handle your case, there's a roadmap. That action plan is a roadmap to address issues that haven't been resolved in your case. And some of them you probably won't even know about them unless we let you know. So that's something you definitely want to check out. All right, friends, and to my subscribers, as you know, I love you. I know that you do everything you can to share my videos. You're really helping me to build this channel. My goal is to reach every injured worker in this province through this channel. And to get as many viewers as I can. We've had over 14,000 views in the last 8 months. So I'm very happy about that. I'm starting to see how our program is working for people, and I couldn't be happier. And to get the kind of feedback I'm getting from the WSIB as to just how much they absolutely loathe me, oh, it makes it all worthwhile. Till the next one, friends. Take care.